Welcome to the range. Here in a different location, your host, Brandon Brown, with your sports panel, the one and only Cleveland Spears, Wes Henderson, and the Honorable Chris Gallen, trying to get comfortable. So, our first issues, starting off with Cleveland.
Well, I'd like to start off with, we're wrapping up the Super Bowl. Everybody knows it just happened. Congratulations to the Saints. Looking up on www.betus.com today, the Colts are a 7-1 favorite to win the Super Bowl next year. The Saints are kind of crazy enough to say they might be bringing back the same team, or a now 15-1 favorite. Kind of baffles me. The Patriots are an 8-1 favorite. And the Cowboys, well, they didn't round out the top 15. The Cowboys are a 23-1 favorite to win. So, I mean, that's kind of crazy. The longest shot, of course, as everybody knows, is the St. Louis Rams, who have a 252-1 chance to win the Super Bowl. And we know the Rams, that ain't happening anytime soon. So if the Rams won next year, well, I'm going to have to be friends with the person that bet on because he's going to win some money. So with that, I have to say, that's very surprising for me.
Yes, it is very surprising, but I can understand the Colts are pretty much bringing back the exact same team for next year as the team they brought to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Saints have 19 unrestricted free agents with 11 restricted free agents, so we don't know where they will end up. As far as the Patriots, as long as they have Tom Brady and that high-powered offense, there always will be a favorite. Just like the Colts, the defense, you just never know when the defense is going to show up, so therefore you always got to count on the quarterbacks.
Yeah.
But as far as the Saints, possibility if they keep the team. Cowboys, won't speak on them. Rams, it's all right. My Oakland Raiders are somewhere up there with you. So I have no problem with them. I have no problem with those odds. I can see those odds being highly correct.
Yeah, I definitely agree with those odds. The best thing about the Colts, they have their best chances, is the fact that, even though their wide receivers had, like Pierre Garçon, Austin Collie, had 1 year underneath their belt. Look who the Colts have lost. He lost Anthony Gonzalez, which is a key slot receiver as well. They'll get him back next season, and as well as other keys that Freeney will be 100% healthy. Different things will happen, and it's a good, manageable pick for the Colts to win the Super Bowl next year.
But the question is, what's the odds that Bob Sanders actually stays healthy? I think they're a little bit better. They're a little bit worse than the Rams win the Super Bowl. All right?
I can see that. I can see that.
Bob Sanders played 19 games this year.
The odds, which have you seen the past few years, are highly unlikely.
Yeah.
But
it could be 1,000-1 at this point.
Just having them there, I guess, is for good morale.
Yeah, that's true.
That's how that needs to be.
He is a leader. I will tell you that. He is a leader. All right. Speaking of next year, the main thing is that even though all these favorites for the next year is always a guarantee, but what happens if this restricted NFL bailout comes into play? There will not even be an NFL season next year. It's been pointed out today that by March 3rd of this year, March 3rd, 2010, which is only 3 or 4 weeks from now, I have lost count, but as they don't have a deal done between the managers and the Players Association, there will not be a 2010 NFL football season. All right, it's pretty much that says set in stone right there. You don't get it done, no deal. So, looking at all these different players and all these different managers trying to argue over who gets the money, Cleveland, what do you think is whose side are you taking upon this whole argument?
Well, I got to give it to the owners. The owners are giving out $100 million contracts to people like Albert Hainsworth, who really doesn't even earn his money except for in his contract year, but like he did with the Titans beforehand. He was terrible, and he was up for a new contract, and all of a sudden, bang, he's one of the best defensive players in the game. Not everybody can be Reggie White. That can't happen. But but these guys are. What did Hainsworth do for the Redskins this year? Nothing.
Nothing.
He was terrible. And everybody said, is he really worth $100 million? Jamarcus Russell, just to name somebody. You know, he's terrible. But you know what? He held out for his money. He doesn't deserve any of it. Michael Crabtree doesn't deserve his money. Next year, he won't even be the second best receiver on that team. Yeah, I said it. So, I mean, come on. I got to give it to, you know, the owners on this one. The owners shouldn't be paying out all this ridiculous money for players who won't show up next year. And that's one thing I got to guarantee. Because, I mean, who's next? Reggie Bush? What has he done? Drew Brees? What is he? Oh, never mind. Let's not go there. He had one good year.
We're going to stop him right there. And I guess I'm going to jump into this thing here. Now, as far as Reggie Bush, I mean, when Reggie Bush came in the league, everybody thought he was going to be the great.
He was the most hyped up player going to the league.
And you've seen what he's done so far. I mean, yes, he has the Super Bowl because of the team he's on, which he did play a role. He played a part. But he just, when you think about Reggie Bush, you thought his numbers would be much better than what they are. But we all know him coming into the league, he wasn't going to be an every down back. Now, speaking of the buyout, you say about the people with the big contracts like Peyton Manning, for instance. They want to restructure Peyton Manning's contract so he can be the highest paid player in the league.
But see, that is the ownership's fault. That's
like
the ownership who wanted to do that. This
yeah.
is not a player. He's not saying, guys, I'm not going to play next year if you don't restructure my contract.
Yeah.
This was Jim Irsay coming on ESPN last week and said, we are going to make him the most paid player in the NFL. Not him saying, I want to be the most paid.
Yeah, just like when Eli got his contract. There was no reason in the world Eli deserved that big of a contract.
That is his fault. That is ownership's fault. When the ownership say it, then it's okay.
Yeah.
But if it's a player, you know, Michael Crabtree, even Terrell Owen, you know, just to name a couple. But when they're holding out, refusing to play,
Yeah.
that's a whole different story. But if the owners say, "Hey, we want to keep this dude. We want to make sure he's the highest paid," that's ownership's fault, and they're not crying about that.
No.
They're crying about literally saying, "We want to." You know, when the players say, "I'm holding out for a 6-year deal," that's crazy.
That's crazy.
And that's not when an owner says, "Hey, I want to make this player. I want to keep him for 6 years." That's even a player saying, "Hey, you know what? I may be 33, but I want a 6-year deal."
Yeah, that makes no sense because you ain't gonna be in the league that long unless you're a kicker.
Yeah,
Possibly a punter.
possibly.
But it's all good. But what I think that ownership should take the blame for this, just like you said. And I mean, they already got a salary cap for a reason.
Yes.
There ain't no reason to raise the salary cap. Just do what you got to do so you can have another season. Because if y'all do have a lockout, nobody's not going to make any money. The NFL will definitely lose money. And so will the players, especially the players that are not even financially secured from how long they've been in the league. Because you have players that probably sign little contracts, and this is their rookie season.
And playing at different places.
Yes, and so if they have a lockout this year, they're not getting paid at all.
But wouldn't that make it easy for Plaxico Burress to come back in the league if there's no 2011 season?
Yeah.
Remember, he comes out in 2011. He gets out of prison in 2011.
He's sitting out just as much as everybody else. A year
So
or 2 years don't
so
really
if they don't play that. So what if they don't play in 2011? They all come back in 2012 on a fresh play.
Just never know.
So, with more of that, we're going to go back to more issues. Chris got some really good stuff he wants to talk about. More on the ring.